Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on loops in Python. So loops are an essential part of programming. They allow you to repeat a block of code multiple times. So in this video we'll cover two types of loops in Python, and these are the two main types of Python loops. The first one is a for loop and the second one is a while loop. I'm going to provide you some examples on each type and show you how to include them in your programs. So the first section, we are going to be looking at for loops. Now, before we get onto that, I've just created myself a new text file in Python and I've called it loops. So feel free to go ahead and create that yourself if you are following along. If you don't know how to do this, have a look back at some of the previous videos and I will show you how to do that in them. So the first thing we're going to cover is a for loop. So with a for loop, we can iterate over a list of items, for example. So if I'm going to create a shopping list of, let's just create a shopping list. Actually, I'm going to create it like this, shopping list. Now that is my variable, which we covered in the last video. So if you're unaware of what variables are, go back and have a look at that video before you complete this one. So shopping list, and I'm going to set it the variable of apple. Now the problem is, in my shopping list, I want to assign more than one item because I'm not just going to go shopping for an apple. So in order to do this, I have to create a list, which is a new data type. So I'm going to use my square braces to do that. So that is now saying that that data, that shopping list, is now being assigned an entire list. So let's start adding things to it. So I'm going to use my comma, just as I did before. I want some Pringles. I want some cabbage. I don't know why I did a capital. I want some chocolate. Let's get some milk. Let's get some healthy stuff as well. Milk. Eggs. I don't know, napkins. Let's go for that. That can be my last thing. Napkins, like that. So I now have a list. So I've got this on my shopping list. If you were writing this on a piece of paper, you might put them underneath each other. In Python, we tend to put them along the way. So now I've written my list for. So for loop. Now I'm going to iterate and ask the program to print out every single element of my for loop. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to put for I in shopping list. Colon, print I. So what I've said is for every item in my shopping list, print it and keep going until I've run out of items. Let's run it. Apple, Pringles, cabbage, chocolate, milk, eggs, napkins. Perfect. All sorted. So in this example, we've created our list of fruits, or created our list of shopping list. I said fruits because it's there. Created our shopping list. We've got apples, Pringles, cabbage, chocolate, milk, eggs, and napkins. We've iterated over our list for as many times as we've got items. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 items, and we've printed every single item to the terminal. Okay, so we've got that bit down. Now, what happens if we didn't want to print every single item? What if we just wanted to print a specific item or a item at a specific point in my list? So how Python works is we don't start at 1. So when I'm counting how many items I've got in my list, I'm not starting at 1. In Python, we start at 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for I in my shopping list, what if I print forgot my underscore. What would happen here? Let's try it. Oh, we got an error. List object is not callable. Did I spell something wrong? Let me just figure this out 1 second. I know what I've done. I used the wrong brackets. I do this every time. It's the square brackets, like that. Try again. There we go. So it's printed out chocolate 3 times. Now chocolate is at index 3. Now that doesn't necessarily make sense because when we count in normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, chocolate would be at 4. But in Python and in computing languages, we start at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, what if I wanted to print out shopping list? How many items we got? Let's do shopping list 6. What would happen here? There we go. So it's printed out napkins 6 times. Perfect. But I don't really want that to happen. So what we're going to do is, instead of just doing it in a for loop, we're going to get rid of the for loop and we're just going to ask it to print out chocolate for us. So it would just print out chocolate. We could change that to anything, change it to 6, prints out napkins. If we change it to 7, which is the end of our Python list, it will give us an error because it'll say we're out of range, so we don't have any items in that section. So in this section, this very small section, we've covered for loops and printing out elements from a list. So what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at while loops. Now, the second type of loop is while loop. The while loop is used to repeat a block of code while a certain condition is true. So for example, if we just remove all of this, I'm going to set a variable called I, and I'm going to set it to equal 0. Now I'm going to say that while the value of I is bigger than 5, so while the value of I, is less than 5, I always get that the wrong way around, I want you to print I to the screen. Okay, now this is the bit that everybody kind of misses. So what we then need to do is we need to add 1 to our iteration. So if we run this, we're going to get in an infinite loop because I is never going to be bigger than 5. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. Let's hope I can exit this. Yep, and we keep going. So if I click, I'm going to have to figure out how to end this. End, escape, help me. There we go. Panic. So we're going to end up in an infinite loop, and I think it's still going to end up going. It's still crashing on us, so we'll just bin that off. So the reason we ended up with that infinite loop is because I is never going to be more than 0, because what's happening is I never gets 1 added to it. So we need to add 1 to it. So every iteration we do I plus 1. Okay, so now if we try it, it stops as soon as I becomes bigger than 5. So remember, we count at 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but in actual fact there are 5 elements to that. So now I is bigger than 5. So we have used a while loop to print the value of the I, so the iterator, to the console as long as I is less than 5. So we've also incremented I by 1 each time to avoid an infinite loop, which we found at the beginning. There are lots of things we can do with the while loop. We are going to be using the while loop throughout the rest of the course, as well as the for loop. So let's try bringing it all together now. So let's look at something called a loop control statement. So, for example, let's go back to our this is part of while and for loops, but it's mainly part of the while loops. It can be part of for loops as well. We'll do a little bit of both. So in addition to the for and while loops, Python also gives us a loop control statement. So it allows us to alter the behavior of loops. So these control statements include things like break, continue, and else. So let's have a go at this. So let's create a list of fruits this time. Apple, banana, banana, I can never spell banana, cherry, why not? So I've got my list of fruits. For fruit in fruits, if fruit is equal to banana, sorry, yeah, it's double equals. If I need to talk about that, I want you to break and break like that. And if I think, there we go, that'd work. I was just wondering if my thingy would work. Indentation, and print fruit like that. So we're using the break statement to exit the loop as soon as we encounter the banana fruit. So if we click run, apple, banana, cherry, so it's printed it all out for us. It's not quite working, so let me just check It should stop as soon as we hit banana. Is it my indentation? Nope, doesn't need that. If we do it there, might be my indentation. It's done. It's done them all. Okay. 1 second, I'll figure this. Okay, I think I've figured it out. Typo every time. If I get rid of that N, hopefully, should work. Perfect. So what's happened is I spelt banana wrong, and I will spell things wrong as we go through, and then I'll get to a point where I'll go code blind and won't be able to see it. But anyway, it took me 30 seconds. So banana and banana. So what's happened is we've run it, but as soon as we've hit the value of banana, it has stopped working. So we have used a break statement to exit the loop as soon as we encounter the word banana or the fruit banana. So let's think about this in a different way. So the continue statement can be used to skip over certain iterations. So if we just change break to continue, let me just say, check I spelt it right, and I click run, it should continue but get rid of the banana element. So we've used a continue loop to skip over the banana fruit and continue with the rest of the loop. So we've taken banana out of the equation. So finally, the last thing we can do with this kind of control statement is we can use it to execute a block of code after the loop is completed. So for example, if I've got a fruits, for fruit in fruit, I'm going to get rid of all of this for now, and I'm going to go print fruit like that, and then I'm going to say else print no more fruits, like that. Now take careful note of indentation. So look at where my code is lined up. So this means, this indentation here means that this is inside this for loop. This is outside the for loop because it's in line with the else, and this is in line inside the else statement. Let's see what happens. So run Python. So apple, banana, cherry, no more fruits. So it's every time we've printed, we've gone through, we've got apple, gone through again, banana, gone through again, cherry. Then we've got to a point where there's no more fruits, so it has outputted no more fruits. So in conclusion, what we have covered this session is we have covered for loops and while loops, and we've covered control statements. So I hope you found this video interesting and helpful and taught you a little bit how to use loops in your Python programs. Remember, loops are powerful, and they are a powerful tool for iterating over sequences and repeating code as necessary. Thank you for watching, and happy coding!